In solidarity.
Political issues, one of which is the continued persecution of members of the opposition, supporters of the opposition, and now increasingly leaders within the opposition. This cannot continue to happen, and we look on as if it is okay. It is not okay, and that's why we are here. But perhaps before delving much into that, ladies and gentlemen, today is International Anti-Corruption Day. This is a day that was set after the passage of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption in 2003 to raise public awareness against corruption. I thought it's important to let you know about this day because it's very critical. In Uganda, according to a report by the Inspectorate of Government, we lose over 10 trillion shillings per year to corruption. No wonder. We have got ailing hospitals and health centers, dilapidated schools, broken roads, and poor service delivery in general. Because the money that is meant to fix these issues is stolen by people in government. And so it's important that we continue to raise awareness, public awareness against corruption, especially on a day as critical as this one, the International Anti-Corruption Day. We must all in unison be able to condemn corruption in all its forms, regardless who commits it. There are many people in government that do that, many public officials, many civil servants, and for us in the opposition, we must beware to operate as carefully as we possibly can so that we have the moral authority to speak about corruption. Otherwise, when our hands are dirty, we then do not have the moral authority to speak about corruption. But when we ensure that we do what is right, we are able to be the moral conscience of the public regarding this matter. I thought I should throw that in. But now getting to the substantive matter as to why we have got our leaders here today. The arrest of our senior leader, one of our senior leaders within the opposition, Dr. Kizza, in fact, it was not an arrest, it was a kidnap from Kenya by Uganda security operatives, is something we are saying we will not keep quiet about. We do belong to different political entities as the opposition, but we are more similar than we are different. The issues that make us similar, the hounding, the persecution, and all of that, it happens to all of us in various ways. And that should be reason for us, and especially our senior leaders, to come together and say no to this illegality being committed by the state using the military courts. Because it really is the state using these military courts to persecute for a long time opposition supporters, opposition leaders at various levels, and now very senior leaders of the opposition. And so we have welcomed our leaders here to in solidarity say no to this, to condemn it, and to say we want to jointly be in solidarity over this issue. Because today it is Dr. Kizza, tomorrow it can be any other of the leaders in this room, and that's why we are here today. The Constitutional Court has pronounced itself on this matter severally, saying civilians should be tried in civilian courts. But the state continues to use this as a stick against the opposition. An election is around the corner, and they will probably want to do this a lot more. So we are saying, no, let's come together now to condemn this before the state thinks it is okay to use it again and again. Because you see, once the state can do this to Dr. Kizza Besigye, and it is fine, even with the general opposition, tomorrow they'll do it to another. So we are here to let them know that when they touch any one of us, they have touched all of us in the opposition. And that is exactly why we are here, to express this solidarity. So I once again want to welcome our senior leaders of the different political parties in the opposition and the political entities within the opposition. Thank you for coming. Like I said, here at Parliament, we are only playing host, but the meeting is really for these are senior leaders, and they will be addressing us on this matter. At the tail end, we shall sign a joint communication in condemnation of this illegality that continues to happen, in solidarity of our senior leader and all the other opposition supporters who have suffered the brunt of this persecution. So I thank you, and I welcome you on behalf of my colleagues, members of Parliament, because this is our home as MPs, but many of you are senior leaders. You're not new to this place. You are OBs and OGs of this house. And so I would like to welcome you back to this, your house. A lot has changed since you were here. A lot has changed, and I'm sure you get surprised out there. I'm told there's been a bit more deployment today. I don't know whether it's because of these senior leaders being present. These are leaders, they're not terrorists. But anyhow, the state sees them as different. Getting them to access this place was very convoluted. A number of other leaders have been denied access to Parliament of Uganda. This Parliament on a daily basis welcomes all manner of people. People who are not even known, as long as they flash their ID at the entrance and they say, I'm going to the office of this member of Parliament, they will be allowed in. But these senior leaders in this country, some of whom have been in this Parliament as members, had to go through a lot for them to access. It's problematic, but that's all the persecution that we are going through, and we are hoping we can nip this in the bud. Mine was to welcome you and really to set the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome the President of the National Unity Platform to come and give his address to the other political party leaders as well. You're welcome, sir.
Now, is it working? Okay, now it's working. Thank you very much, Comrade Ssenyonyi. Today, ladies and gentlemen, being the International Anti-Corruption Day, I was wondering what better place is it to observe that day than here, the high temple of corruption. And I'm glad that we have some of our comrades that are fighting aggressively against that corruption. We salute you, Honorable Ssenyonyi, and your team. I won't give further comments on the International Anti-Corruption Day. Just tell your speaker that I've dedicated this day to her. I salute you, colleague leaders, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Ugandans. I want to thank you once again, Honorable Ssenyonyi, for hosting this very important engagement. Ladies and gentlemen, on the 20th day of November, the nation woke up to the disturbing news of a cross-border abduction of Dr. Kizza Besigye and his colleague, Alhaji Obeid Kamulegeya. This was done in Kenya by Uganda's security operatives. It was done in violation of their rights and in utter violation of international law. They were then smuggled into Uganda discreetly, of course in violation of any known extradition processes. And although these two were not serving military men, they were arraigned before the General Court Martial in violation of the Constitution and in violation, in utter contempt of all the pronouncements of the Constitutional Court. As we all know, numerous times the Constitutional Court has made it clear that it's illegal to try non-soldiers, civilians in military courts. We, as a National Unity Platform, have been the biggest victims of these kangaroo courts before, during, and after the elections of 2021. Over 2,000 of our members and supporters were abducted and detained on the orders of either the unit disciplinary committees or the division court martials or the general court martial. Most of them were charged with ridiculous trumped-up charges of being found with military stores, literally referring to our red berets and red overalls. As we speak today, very many of them are still languishing in prison, 4 years and some more, without trial. Recently, all of us saw with shock how the regime forced and coerced some of our comrades to accept the offenses that they never committed. It was such a travesty of justice, and we call upon all Ugandans of good conscience to condemn it and continue condemning it. But before all this happened, you all remember that I was personally charged before the same court, the military court, and the regime presented 2 machine guns claiming that they were found in my hotel room in Arua. Of course, eventually, the guns disappeared, and out of both international and local pressure, the charges were dropped. So, when we speak about the oppression and the injustice in military courts, ladies and gentlemen, we don't just talk about it as academic knowledge. This is lived experience. We've been through it, and so many Ugandans continue to go through it. The court-martial has been turned into a tool of oppression by General Museveni because he has full control of it. He decides who gets charged in the court-martial, what charges are preferred against that person, and who does or doesn't get bail from the court-martial. He uses it to punish and intimidate his opponents, and we condemn that. So here we come together knowing that Dr. Kizza Besigye and Haji Obed Kamulegeya cannot and will not get justice in that military court. We therefore jointly demand that Dr. Kizza Besigye's charges and Haji Obed Kamulegeya's charges be dropped, and if they can't be dropped, let them at least be charged in a civilian court because they are civilians. We demand that those charges, those bogus charges, be dropped against them. And I mean, looking at common sense, even if Dr. Kizza Besigye and his colleague were found with guns in Kenya, how does that become a monopoly? How do those guns become a monopoly or even the business of the Ugandan military? We are aware that these charges in the court-martial are meant to intimidate, coerce, and ultimately subdue the people of Uganda and their leaders to stop them from challenging the corrupt system, the corrupt criminal regime of General Museveni. We are here to say to General Museveni that no amount of coercion, no amount of oppression, no amount of impunity will stop the people of Uganda from seeking better. And yes, no amount of intimidation will stop us from offering leadership to these people until we get to a country that we want to live in. Friends, so many dictators have done exactly, or even worse, to their people like Museveni has done to the people of Uganda. But history has taught us that they ultimately come crumbling down when people don't give up. From the dictators that we've seen in history, and yesterday It was Assad of Syria who has oppressed the people of Syria, him and his family, for more than 50 years. They came crumbling down yesterday. So yesterday, it was Assad in Syria, and hopefully tomorrow, it will be Museveni in Uganda. We ask the people of Uganda never to give up on hope, to keep fighting for what they rightly deserve, for keep pushing for liberation, because there's no doubt that their freedom is very soon coming. I want to thank you all for listening to me and request other colleague leaders to also give their comments. So it's my humble pleasure to invite you, General Mugisha Muntu, to kindly come and give your remarks. I thank you very much.
On behalf of our national coordinator, Honorable Ali Salaso, and on behalf of all the colleagues in Alliance for National Transformation, we've come to jointly stand with the rest of the opposition parties, stand in solidarity with Dr. Kizza BESIGYE and Haji Rutare, who were abducted in Kenya and have been arraigned before the military courts. Our demands are that Dr. Kizza BESIGYE and Haji Obed Rutare be tried in the civil courts, because both are civilians. I'd like also to talk about another aspect. We should make every Ugandan concerned about this particular case. It's not every day that governments go and abduct their citizens from other countries, more so neighboring countries. One would have to look behind the mindsets of those who are conducting such an operation, where a government goes and abducts its citizens from another country and does not go through the established channels through which, when a person is arrested in a different country, processes are in place, are established, legal as well as diplomatic. That never happened, because they were abducted on Saturday, and by Sunday, they were in Makinde, taken through both borders, the Kenyan border and the Ugandan border, the official borders. So what would be the mindset of those who are conducting such an operation, considering the consequences of that? Kenya itself, I saw a few days back, the public servant representing the Ministry of Foreign Affairs trying to explain this question, because there are so many questions in Kenya itself. And I saw him almost speaking Greek, because he was not able to come out openly to say whether the Kenyan government was behind it or not. That wouldn't be facing the Kenyan government right now if those who are conducting the operation from this side were not operating from the mindset in which they are operating. We don't have information as why they would do that first and foremost, when they clearly knew that Dr. Kizza BESIGYE has been going out of the country and he comes back. And they were clearly aware that he would be back, that they would not wait, even if they had any case to put against him, to arrest him when in Uganda, should be a concern of all Ugandans. Why so? Because it would clearly mean that, one, either those who conducted this operation were in panic for whatever reason, one wouldn't understand. Two, that at their subconscious level, they have given up on the image of their government, that they no longer care about protecting image, because basically maybe they think in their minds that they no longer have anything to protect in terms of image. You don't do that as you can see, the attraction this case has raised, regionally, continentally, and internationally. What government would not care about its image when there are consequences of that nature? Unless in the subconscious level, they have given up on image. They no longer believe that they got an image to protect. 3, or those who are who conducted the operation are inept, that they have no capability to weigh when they are conducting or planning operations of that nature, to balance a number of issues before they make a decision of that nature. Or 4, they are so reckless that they don't care about what happens. Now, in case it is any of those 4, or a combination of them, that should make all of us worried as Ugandans. Because the management of security forces is key in the stability of a country. So if it is because of recklessness or ineptness, it should be a cause for concern for all of us, including those who are in the regime. Because we have got people who have issues of that nature, to handle them the way they handle the matter. Even those who are seen in government, political as well as military, should think deeply on this particular issue. So we are happy and we thank you, the leader of opposition and the members of parliament who are here with you for hosting us this day. We should not let this matter rest. We are glad that there are regional interest, a number of political actors in this whole of East Africa at the continental level that are also raising pressure all around. We'd like to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and also the members of the press for covering us today. Let me take this opportunity, therefore, to invite Honorable and former leader of opposition, Honorable Wafula Oguttu. Thank you.